What is up, guys? I'm back again with a new video. In today's video, we are going to talk about how to get dealerships as a mobile paint technician. I want to share with y'all just a little bit about my experience in getting dealerships anywhere from small mom and pop dealerships all the way to your big name brand nationwide car dealerships out there that you can think of. Um, so let's start off by I want to start off by talking about I got a comment from one of the subscribers yesterday, and I emailed them back, and basically he was asking, about pricing, and also when you bid your jobs, what do you do as far as pricing for retail, wholesale, commercial, and all that. So I just want to share with y'all in my experience. Um, where is it at? This is Edgar. This is just to show all the other people out there, because I know Edgar asked this question, and somebody else out there might have the same question. But picking up dealerships, guys, if you're starting off and you just barely started as a mobile painting tech, you're out on your own, you're trying to get accounts, and it's just you, it's going to be very hard for you to convince the big dealerships that sell 100, 150, 200 units a month. They're used to having uh, these bigger companies come in with, two, three, four trucks and knocking out, say, 20, 30 cars, say in a moment's notice. Like they'll call and say, hey, we got 20 cars that need to get done. Um, so what I would recommend if you're barely starting off is you want to start with your small mom and pop dealerships. Meaning these are just, dealerships that have small lots. And how you can find them is basically if you drive around, say you're driving around town, um, and you notice some car dealerships and you look at their front line, you want to see um, what their front line looks like. What I mean by front line, basically it's like the cars that they have parked up front. Like you drive by a dealership and they'll have all the cars lined up. Well, I would do that. It's kind of like window shopping basically. And if I try to pick up a dealership, I would try to go to a dealership that had the newer cars, 5 years or newer, because those are the dealerships that are going to invest in fixing up these cars and selling them to customers. Now, I'm not trying to get any hate mail for anybody out there, but there are some dealerships that have like 1990s models, early 2000s, and that's all they have. They have these signs, buy for $500 cash or whatever. If you try to go to one of those lots, chances are they're not going to want to pay you that much money to fix up a car that's, that old, versus another dealership that maybe they just sell 10, 15, 20 units a month, something small. They probably have less than 50 cars in their inventory, but it's a newer model car. So those are the ones that you want to look out for. So um let me just as an example, um go out to, let's say, you go buy something like this. You could very well go into this dealership and try to do some work because these look kind of new, right? So you can start off online, do a Google search on maps, and look at the area that you wanna be in. Now, if let's say this is the front area of where you live at, um, okay, let's see, what is this? Texas Auto North. All right, let's check them out. What you could also do, guys, before you even drive out there, what I also like to do is look at the reviews. And if, there's a lot of good things being said about them, They care about their customers. They're gonna go ahead and also fix those cars. So you can drive by these, or you can look at their pictures. Go to their website, look at the pictures that are on there, and check them out, guys. Chances are these dealerships already have um, somebody that does their mobile paint and body work. Hey, what's up, Don? Don Ba. I'll get with you in a minute, man. But going back to the question, um, you go out to these dealerships and they might have somebody already, and that is great. When you go up in there and you talk to the manager, you want to talk to the used car manager, because they have probably different managers, finance manager, inventory manager, or whatever. Talk to the used car manager and just basically introduce yourself and say, "Hey, I was driving by an area. My name's so and so, and my company is so and so, and I'm looking to pick up some accounts. And this is what I do. I do mobile paint and body repair." And they might say off the bat, "Yeah, okay, we already have somebody," or they might say, "What are your prices?" All that, kind of just to get a feel for you. If you're starting off, you might be nervous. You might be like, "Oh man, I don't know what to say." Just go and sell yourself. Be very, if you're confident in that do good work, um, just try to sell that. So if they say, "Well, what are your prices?" Okay, let's look at prices. Now, I know here in the Houston area, there is a lot of competition, guys. I mean, you could find guys that do bumpers for like 75 bucks a bumper, but they're using very cheap materials that's not going to hold up for more than like a year, and it's going to fade and look bad or whatever. But the average guys in the industry, it could be anywhere from like 100 bucks all the way to like maybe 225. Okay, now that could very well have changed over the years. It could be something different now. And this is per bumper, right? Okay. Now, if you're barely starting off and you want to kind of hook them on the pricing, you could say, "Hey, I charge $125 a bumper, right? But, oops, sorry guys. But if it needs body work, I add $25." Okay. That's common too. That's done a lot throughout the industry. Um, if it needs like plastic welding, you got a crack or a tear, I do, $50 extra. Okay. So they kind of have an idea of like how much they're going to be spending when they go to these cars to buy them at auction. And they're adding up all the math to see what it's going to cost them to fix this car. Because this is the way it works, guys. These small mom and pop dealerships, there's probably hundreds or probably thousands. I know there's thousands. There's thousands, just thousands of small mom and pop dealerships in Houston. Well, each one of those owners have a guy, or the owner themselves, they shop around at car auctions and they'll go and look at cars, and they might see a car that's in good condition. The motor is good. Everything's great, but it has a hit on a bumper. Okay. They already know from the guy that they're using or the body shop that they're using that it's X amount of dollars. Okay. So the average price per bumper in this city can be anywhere from 100 to 225. It might be different in your city or whatever, but you kind of play around with the numbers. You want to hook them, just say, "Hey, it's 100 bucks or 125." And they're going to think, "Man, that's super cheap." Right. But then you say, if it needs filler, plus 25 or plus 50 or whatever. You could hook them that way. After you tell them that, they might say, "Oh, okay, all right, cool. We'll call you. All right, just give me a card." Well, leave them a card if you have cards, or you could leave them a 8x5, you know, laminated piece of paper. Basically, it's a hard. This is just a regular piece of paper, guys, but you laminate this paper with all your prices and you leave it with them. And it's going to be very hard for them to lose that. They're going to want to keep it. They're going to feel it and they're going to be like, oh, let me save this somewhere because I could probably use this guy. And you could tell them also, hey, um, I know you have a guy, that's great, but just in case your guy goes on vacation, just in case your guy gets sick, or just in case y'all let him go, here's my info. I love to, to get a chance to prove what I can do. If it's a really good account and you're kind of get a feel for them and they're asking you a lot of questions and can you do plastic walls? Can you do key scratches? Can you do wet sand and buff? Can you do all these things? If they're asking you all these questions, guys, chances are they're probably interested. Or they might even say, hey, actually, I got a car right now. Come out and take a look at it and tell me how much you would charge to fix it. Okay. If that happens, then that's an opportunity that you can take advantage of. You basically go out there, look at the car. If it's something like on a bumper, whatever, something small, you could even say, hey, you know what? I'll do this bumper, assuming it's a small job. I'll do this bumper for free. Okay. And then just I'll be as a call in basis, meaning whenever you have work, you can call me back. And if you put it that way out there for them, then you could basically have the upper hand. And this is how you're going to have the upper hand. If you're really good at what you do, you're damn good at body work, you're damn good at paint work, do the best that you can as fast as you can. Okay. And you want to impress these guys. You want them to say, holy mackerel, this guy did this in this amount of time. He's good. Make sure if they have a car, it's an easy fix and you walked a lot with them and you saw like it's a hard fix, like on a Toyota or a Lexus or a Honda. Um, you could even say, hey man, this job here that you're talking about, it's easy. Let me fix that one that's really messed up because I really want to show you what I could do. And I'll do it for free. Right. You're gonna impress them. So what that does is now they see the value. You did one bumper, probably took you a few hours. You knock it out, but you made a name for yourself. Okay. You're probably spending materials maybe 30, 40, 50 bucks. Okay. It's a small investment, but chances are they're gonna call you. If it's a lot that's selling cars left and right, um, you walk their lot and you see nothing but nice cars everywhere, you know, you know that they're gonna want to sell those cars in good condition. I mean, who wants to buy a car with a big old dent or scratch on it, right? So once you do the bumper for this small mom and pop dealership, um, you go away. They might call you back in a day, a two, a week, a month. But what you do is you go back the following 2 weeks later, or you go the following 3 weeks, or the following month, and you go and visit the same guy, the used car manager, and just small talk. Just small talk. Hey, what's going on, man? Just checking in, see if you had anything for me. How are things going? Oh no, we're good, man. Our guy, he does our work, he's doing great, blah, blah, blah. This and that. Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm just, pounding the pavement, just seeing where I could get in to fit in, try to make him laugh, get on his good side. Don't be so pressured. Be just very relaxed, very cool, calm, and collected. And that's gonna help him get a good vibe off of you. You're not trying to be pressured, you're not trying to be salesy. Um, and you just do that. And over time, you'll get to know these guys, everybody in there, and they're going to give you a shot. I mean, hands down, guys. If you're a very likable, easygoing guy um, or gal, they're going to give you a shot. It's just being patient, being persistent. Doesn't matter how many no's they give you. Just know that out of if you go to 100 dealerships, you're not going to do 100 free bumpers. I would start with maybe 10 or maybe just 5, right? Um, but you get to know people because that's what the business is about. It's about people. Okay. Um, so say on a Saturday, you don't have anything to do or you finish your job early. Just go to a dealership and go in and talk to them and say, "Hey, I'll do this for free." As soon as you show up, walk their lot. They might think you're there to buy a car. They might think you're there to do a sales pitch or whatever. But just go in there, park, walk around their lot, whatever. Somebody comes out, a sales guy says, "Hey, can I help you? You're interested in buying?" "Oh no, man, I'm a vendor. I service the area. I do mobile paint work." And that's your chance to get some info from that sales guy. Okay. You talk to the sales guy and say, "Hey man, do y'all currently have a mobile paint guy that comes and does y'all's body work, paint work?" "Oh no, we don't have anybody, this and that, whatever." "Yeah, we do." "Oh, okay, great. What do they charge? Or, what do they charge per car or bumper? Are they good? Do y'all have, a lot of work? Are they swamped?" And they might, at that point, they might be like, "Oh, I don't want to say too much." They're going to say, "Oh, you got to talk to the manager." "Okay, great. Who's the guy I need to talk to?" Then you get that name, you walk into the dealership and you throw that name out there and say, "Oh yeah, let me talk to Joe Schmo." And they know that you asked for him directly. They probably think that he's expecting you. Or if they ask, "Hey, who are you?" Just say, "Oh yeah, I'm so and so with," just say the name of your company. I'm here to talk to him about offering my services. And they might give you a shot. They might say, "Oh, he's busy. He's in a meeting." That's great. Just leave one of your cards, come back again. That secretary or that front desk person, the receptionist, is going to pass that message along and give that card to Joe Schmo, right? You go back 3 weeks later or a month later, if the same thing happens, you drop off a card again. You don't hassle the guy. Enough times you're going to bump into him, okay? And then you talk to him. And that's where you get your foot in the door. Now, the small mom and pop dealerships is very easy to get a hold of the managers. Usually it's the owner because they're on site, they're on the lot. If they're not, somebody else is there and they can tell you what day the owner will be back and you want to go back on those days just to talk, okay? Um but I will say this, guys, you can get accounts this way very easy if you do good work, okay? If your work is not your skill work, the skills that you have or your work is not that great, then work on it, get better at it. And then eventually, when you're really good at it, the work will speak for itself. You could be a terrible salesman. You can be you could stutter. I mean, when I started to do sales, I would stutter. I had no type of confidence, right? And for me, it was very hard to go in and introduce myself because I saw them as like, "Oh man, this is like executive level person here." And I felt like I was almost begging for work. But you don't have to feel like that, guys. You're just somebody who has a skill set and you're trying to fulfill a need if there is a need at that place. So, with that being said, real quick, shout out to Don Ball. What's up? Quick question. What would you do if they give you a heavy workflow and you have a minimal manpower? Okay. Man, if they give you a heavy workflow, um, that's just gonna be some long days. I mean, you're gonna have to work your butt off, man, because if they really, really like you and they want to keep you, uh, they'll kind of adjust. Okay. They might call in for help, meaning like they'll call another company out. And they might say, "Hey, look, I know you're busy. I know you're swamped. I just need to get these cars out because then my boss will get on my butt because I'm not getting them out fast enough." CarMax is like this. Kid you not, guys. CarMax has a system down to the dial. It's almost like a Henry Ford um, factory type. Just the environment. It all goes through a stringent process. They count how many days and hours and minutes that car moves from the inspection to the oil change to the paint, uh, repair, the rim repair, and by X amount of days it has to be on the front lot, and then from there they count how many days it takes it's going to be sold. The other thing too is the logistics of it, guys. Sometimes these cars sit on here on this lot in Houston. There's a big market for them in Louisiana or Florida or New York, and they'll move cars around when you get into these big dealerships. And so timing is very critical. If you're small, you don't have to worry about that because you're at a small mom and pop dealership. But when you're working for, CarMax or these big name brand dealerships, franchises, you want to be able to handle the workload because those are some big accounts. So you might need to hire some people, okay? Or I would recommend just have somebody that trains with you for about a year, get them trained up to speed, have them as a helper, and then when they're ready to go on their own, then they could probably get another dealership and you get somebody else to train, you know? So yeah, that's what I would recommend, Don, for that. Um, Paint blends better with newer cars. That's true. That is right. What kind of clear do you use? So I use different clears, depending on the um the client. Okay. Now if it's just a general repair, meaning like it's a scrape, a bumper repair, it's just something quick and easy. I use PPG for everything. Okay. Now PPG does have some different tiers of branding. Basically, it's like the economy clear, economy base coat. Then you have your mid-level grade, like concepts clear. And then you have your high quality, super expensive, ridiculously like crazy pricey clear and base codes such as Deltron, and it just above that is actually another tier, but that's for commercial. That's for like it's called Delfleet. They use on like fire trucks or airplanes. They have to withstand air speeds of 200 miles per hour plus temperature fluctuations and all that. So you have to use the specified materials for paint aviation vehicles and such and all that. That's a whole different video, guys. But um, I typically use PPG JC630. If you get the gallon of clear with the quart of hardener, I think it's like 160 or 180 bucks, guys, something like that. I can't remember, but it's a good clear. I like it. It lays out well, and it's easy to buff, and it has excellent shine. So, next comment. Oh, okay, so you're gonna listen. I do a wholesale for more than one at a time. Yes, build relationship. CarMax subs out bumper work also. Yes, they do sub out bumper work also for pretty much like I think their paint, interior, the rims, the keys, like when they have to cut new keys. So yeah, guys, start small, go to a small mom and pop dealership, work your way up. Now, you go to one dealership, chances are they're going to know maybe four or five other dealerships. They're going to be buddies with four or five other dealerships, or they're going to get together, or they know somebody. And if you're good with one dealership, they'll spread the word about you to somebody else that they really like, that they trust, that they're buddies with. Because think about it like this, they're not going to want you to leave their lot to go work for everybody they're spreading the word to. So they might be a little stingy when it comes to sharing your card information if you're really good, if you do good work for them. Okay. And that's all right, guys. That's fine. Now, when I started off, my pricing was super cheap, guys. I mean, I was struggling because I had to make a name for myself. Nobody knew who I was. They didn't believe I could do the work. I look super young. Um, I mean, I still look young now, but back then I even look younger because probably I don't know. I guess I just aged different than most people. But they looked at me and like, oh, okay, what do you do again? Or all right. And they just be like, yeah, right, whatever. And that's all right, guys. You're gonna have people do that. They're gonna doubt you. Okay. But this is where uh you're able to shine when you do the work. That is when you shine. I cannot tell you how many times that has sold oops, sorry guys. That has sold um more than handing out a business card. You can hand out a business card, okay, and you can like talk to them all day, but once they see your work, once they know that it was you that fixed this, oh man, that's it. They're gonna want you for life. All right. So that's what I would do for small dealerships. Now, if you want to get into um, medium-sized dealerships or bigger dealerships, um, this is where you go and do the sales calls, and the manager that you're talking to, it's probably going to be like a reconditioning manager. It's not going to be like the manager for the whole store. It's going to be somebody dedicated to getting these cars fixed and serviced. Okay. Um, and they're going to ask you for your prices. You could ask them what the previous vendor charges, and if their approach is, "Oh yeah, our guy does it for 150," then you can say, "Hey, we charge 150, but the only difference is if we have to do filler, that's plus 25. If it's a tri-coat color, we do plus 50. If it needs plastic wool, plus 25." Okay, just think about it, guys. Paint cost goes up every year. Nothing is getting cheaper. Everything is getting more expensive, and they know this, but they're gonna try to lowball you and get you to come down on your prices. Okay, they might even tell you a lie and say, "Oh yeah, our guy does it for $100." You don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's the truth. I don't know. But you want to get paid what you think is fair. Whatever it takes to put food on the table, right? You have to make a profit. You can't do things for free. So you want to keep everything in mind when it comes to running these numbers. Keep your materials and your profit margin in mind. Um, so that's the medium-sized dealerships like your local. I know here in Houston, there's like the Mac Hike and the Tom Peacock and Gulf States, and they all have somebody working for those dealerships, and they rotate guys. Um, so CarMax is one of the big ones. I've done work for CarMax, and they're actually pretty good. I actually like working for CarMax because everything was very organized. Everything was very just straight to the point. Like, hey, front bumper, full shoot, do the whole thing, and as long as it looks good, you do a good job. They're happy with it. Now, I will say this: if you're doing work for one of these big dealership accounts, I noticed that generally speaking, it takes about 3 months or so for them to trust you. And what I mean by trust is they're not going to be checking your work every single time you finish. Once you've done 3 months worth of work and all your cars are coming out great and looking nice, they don't have to babysit you and look after every single car. After that point in time, they're just going to say, hey, here are the sheets. Cars are outside. Keys are in the key box. Have at it. When you're done, you bring the sheets back in, sign off, send your invoice, and you're done. Very rarely that you're gonna have them check these cars out. Okay. Um. So yeah, guys, that's the small dealerships, the medium and the large size dealerships. Going back to Don. What up, Don? Man, you're like my only watcher, I guess, today, man. That's all right though. Um, my biggest fear is not being busy enough, then have to go back to working in my field. I want to avoid this. Keeps my head on a swivel. Yeah, that's true, man. You want to stay busy. My lots knows several big dealerships won't spread the word because they feel they could lose me. He told me he would, but didn't. So yeah, that's how it is, guys. They're gonna protect you like you're the golden goose, right? But see, this is the beauty of it, guys. When I started getting accounts, I tried to service everybody and anybody, and I think at my peak, when I started, like the second or third year, I had 12 accounts. Okay, now these also included big accounts and smaller accounts. I had four other guys working for me. I rented up a small shop, and I was on the go doing all the mobile, and then my guys were helping consolidate the cars at the shops on a freeway strip, basically, and they would bring the cars to the shop, get fixed there, and then I would have to go to the car auction, then go cross town to CarMax and service these other big name brand dealerships. And man, it was crazy. Like, I didn't have time really for myself or family, and it was just work, 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 because I went from having no work to being swamped with work, and you're trying to sustain your baby and keep it alive and going. But when you get to that point where, man, I'm making money from all these accounts, you want to sit back and you want to look at, okay, which accounts are the ones that you make the most money from? Which accounts are giving you the most problems? I had to do this, guys, and it was hard for me to accept it and go through with it. But I had to let go the accounts that I had the most problems from. What I mean by problems is, if this was a small mom and pop dealership that they wanted to pay super cheap, but they wanted this car to look absolutely perfect. I mean, you get what you pay for, right? And their mentality was like, well, I'm feeding you work. So you have to fix the whole bumper and fix this whole crack from left to right, when it's probably easier to just get a new bumper. But they don't want to spend the money on buying a new bumper. They want you to fix it, and it's going to take you a whole day to fix a crack from top to bottom on a bumper that's probably going to crack again as soon as they hit something, right? Um, but they're like, "Oh, we don't care, just fix it, but it has to look perfect," right? A whole day for $125? Like, really, guys? That's a problem. And if that small mom and pop dealership has that mentality and they're killing you, that's an account that I would let go, guys. I would want to work for the dealership where they say, "Hey, what are your prices?" "Okay, great. Here's some cars for you." You know, and they don't try to nickel and dime you. If a car comes up with a big hit or it's more work than usual, you can say, "Hey, man, look, I got this car and it's gonna take me a little bit more work. I'm gonna spend half a day on it. Could I get like an extra $50? Can I add 75 bucks onto the invoice?" And they're gonna just be like, "Yeah, man, you do great work. Go for it. Cool. It's just one time. No worries." Manager approves it. You send your invoice. You make a little bit more money, right? Those are the dealerships that um, I would want to work for. Or if you say, "Hey, I'm gonna bill y'all per unit. One bumper might be a partial, half a bumper spray, and you could do, a certain price. If it's a full bumper, then you tell that dealership, I charge this much if it's a full bumper." And if they say, "Oh, hey, great, we're okay with the pricing," those are the dealerships that I want to work for, because they're easy to work with. Okay. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of dealerships out there just in Houston. All right. So you kind of have to move around and get to know some of them. Going on to the next comment. Do you really need commercial insurance? Okay. If you're working for these big name brand companies, these franchises and CarMax and all that, yes, because they make that a requirement. You have to be insured in case you drive a car, you move it, and it crashes, catches on fire, and burns. Their inventory is protected. If you're working on the small mom and pop dealerships, chances are they're not going to care. They have their own insurance for their lot. um, but if you're not even moving the cars, what you could do too is say, "Oh, hey, we don't have insurance, so the only requirement that we ask if we do work for y'all is we need to have somebody move the cars." And that's actually a good thing, guys, because think about it this way. And I would always do this for every dealership. Okay. Um, I would just say, "Hey, um, once I started working that account, whoever the make ready guy was, or whoever was in charge of me interacting with to get these cars fixed and moved, as soon as I showed up, I had my game plan. If I knew I had 4 cars for the day, I would go and look at them and make my plan and say, okay, I'm going to spray these 2 today or these 3 today. And I will let that person know, hey, could I get this car first? And then at 2, can I get this one? And then by that time, I'll get the third one around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever. And so you kind of have them do some of the work for you, because believe it or not, guys, when you're walking to and from your trailer or from your van to go get a car, get the keys, uh, go to the car, move it, drive it over. When you add all those steps up, you're spending hours. Say it takes, 10 minutes to go get a car. You bring it back. Okay. Then you got to get another car and another car. Eventually, you're going to spend an hour, 2 hours just moving stuff around versus your work. They bring you a car, you're setting up your trailer, popping up your tent. They bring you a car, you start working. You told them at 2 p.m. or 1 p.m., bring the other car. By that time, you'll be done with this car and you can move it out the way, put it in the sun so it can dry. They bring you the other car. You didn't have to spend no time. All that time adds up, guys. It really does work. But back to the insurance. If you're working for like CarMax or some of these other, yes, they will require it. If you're doing the car rental places at the airport, yes, they will require it. You have to get it. Peace of mind for both sides. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much how to get dealership accounts. You want to be confident. I know you might not be confident in the beginning, but you do it enough times and you'll get confident because you know that you do good work. Don't short sell yourself and think that there's somebody out there better than you. You have to tell yourself, I am the best at what I do. I am the best in the world. And repeat that to yourself day in and day out. And believe me, guys, that confidence will show through. And I realized it after some time. I got called out to a performance shop, and they were like, "Hey, can you do this repair?" And I was like, "Yeah." I fixed a bumper on a Cadillac, and they were very on the edge. They were like, "Hey, can you really fix this? Is this fixable? Is the color gonna match? Um, what are you gonna do?" As if like they felt like I didn't know what I was doing, right? And so I had to put myself in this zone, and I basically told myself, I am the expert here. I have to educate them, and that is okay. And so basically, I just put myself in this thought process that I have to teach them. And when you teach something and you know your stuff, it shows. They can tell. Any question they ask, you're not like playing with your thumbs or like fiddling or trying to give them just mediocre answers. You're telling them, no, it has to be done this way and then this way and then this way. And this is how you do that. And you answer their questions, and they're going to be like, okay, all right. But once you're done with the work, that's probably the last time they're going to ask you if you do good work. They're not going to ask you any more questions. So try to stay confident, guys. And, I want to do a quick shout out to everybody out there that watches this channel. And thanks for all the comments and support, guys. Shout out to Don. Um, so if y'all have any other questions, make sure to leave a comment in the video. And I will try to get back to answer them as soon as I can, guys. Other than that, peace out. Have a good one.